Discover the sinister attic. Where 39 children were caged in 1853 Kentucky's haunted Callahan home, Sarah Turner felt a chill creep up her spine as she stood at the entrance of the Victorian house, the artwork of decay and beauty now consumed by shadows. No one told her about the eerie energy pulsing through the walls, whispering the secrets of terrible things hidden away. Before she let herself step inside, she studied the cherry blossom trees outside. They towered like guardians, but the bright blooms swayed almost as though they were trying to warn her. Ignoring the whisperings of the town, it took everything in Sarah to grasp hope and shut out the memories of her painful divorce. She was determined to restart her life with her 2 children. Lily and Max. Days turned to dusk with the sound of boxes being ripped open and laughter morphing into whispered fears. But that laughter soon faded when Lily and Max began waking at ungodly hours, their faces pale and frightened. They spoke in hushed tones about the children they heard crying from the attic. "It's just your imagination," Sarah would insist, hoping to quell their fears, all the while feeling the weight of their haunted home gripping tighter around her. At night, the creaks echoed loudly, each sound sending an icy dread through her body, making her mind race. As the darkness engulfed her, Sarah followed the sinister cries to a shaken state of sleeplessness. "Why don't you call the sheriff?" one neighbor asked, smirking too wide for its sincerity. Might just be the stress playing tricks. But the laughter that came from the authorities left Sarah feeling colder than the frigid breaths that danced through her home when night fell. Panic threatened to swallow her whole. The shadows pooled over her, wrapping her tighter and tighter. Then came the imaginary friend Anna. Lily called her. Max would sit in the dim corners, staring into the depths of empty space. Panic drew ever tighter as nightmares painted vivid terror across Sarah's sleep. Each night, she felt like she was sinking deeper into a sea of darkness, unable to rescue her children from the sinister grip of that attic. What wasn't right with this place? Finally, in a moment of sheer desperation, she climbed the creaky stairs leading to the attic, pushing through the door with shaking hands. The air held a bitter freeze that wrapped around her throat, giving her little room to breathe. Dust danced menacingly in the light, swirling around her like whispers of lost souls. In an ancient trunk, covered in webs, lay a weathered leather-bound journal. The writings told stories of joy once, but the laughter turned bitter and cruel, detailing the torment of 39 children caged here in the year 1853. Sarah felt a hot rush of panic claw at her throat as she read the haunting tales their laughter confined, their lives laced with despair, parents who held secrets twisted in bitterness, their love long gone. Before she could think, a presence surrounded her and chilled her mere existence. She turned toward the shadows lurking behind, heart pounding, every instinct screaming for her to flee. They weren't just stories. This place held them. The cries from the attic pulsed with a deafening roar now, and their shadows warped and twisted, threatening to trap Sarah in their nightmarish past. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The attic felt like a cage itself, suffocating, closing in like the memories trapped in its corners. Panic gripped her heart as she thought of her children. Would the sinister history of Callahan bind her to this dreadful home? Her mind raced as she glanced back, breathless, horrified at the flickering movement behind her. The whispers escalated, and she stepped backward, the darkness closing in on her. What awaited her just beyond that door? Could she escape the attic, or would she be held prisoner to the ghosts of the past? The air turned electric, dark tendrils reaching for Sarah, pulling her deeper into the oppressive gloom. Her heart hammered in her chest. Every nerve screamed at her to flee. Yet, she felt rooted to the spot, as if the shadows themselves had grasped her ankles. The cries crescendoed until they morphed into a haunting chorus, a pitiful cacophony of despair echoing off the wooden beams of the attic. Mom! Lily's voice echoed in Sarah's mind. The memory of her daughter's petrified face dug into her conscience. She couldn't lose them. She wouldn't eat, drawing in a deep, ragged breath. She focused on the journal, desperate to glean anything that could give her a way to understand what was happening. The flickering light cast quick silver shadows against the pages, and her eyes darted across the frail writing. A name caught her breath. Anna? Etched a little more elaborately than the rest. A chill trickled down her spine. Could it be Lily's friend? Suddenly, a distant sound disrupted her thoughts, a soft thump. Not just in her mind, but a real sound, a physical disturbance. Faint whispers trailed after it. Screams of children blended into the flickering darkness. No! Panic surged. She stumbled back, the journal slipping from her fingers, landing with a thud on the floorboards, flapping open to a page filled with frantic scribbles. "Help us," it read, scrawled hastily across the worn page, as if the spirit of the author was fighting to escape the grip of their sorrow. The attic seemed to breathe, its own stale air swirling around her in an angry gust, shaking the dust loose from ancient corners. Shadows flared, elongating, clawing at her, revealing glimpses of small faces with eyes wide in terror. Sarah, a voice echoed in the cacophony. It wasn't her children. This voice was deeper, blending with the cries that formed a chilling chant. "Help us, set us free, stop it," she shouted, fighting against the rising tide of madness. "You're not real. You're just a story." But she could feel the truth clawing at her, a gnawing that perhaps this was no mere story. The weight of her disbelief crashed against her like a wall of ice, painfully tangible, as if the house itself were urging her to accept its dark tales with a sudden clarity. Sarah realized something: the attic was a prison, and these voices, these children, were trapped within its dreadful walls. Were they looking for a savior, or was she, in fact, the next victim destined to succumb to the horrors of Callahan? As she turned to sprint toward the door, something shifted next to her. A shadow loomed closer, coalescing into a tangible form. It was Anna, a flickering image of a little girl with wide eyes and dark hair. Her mouth curved in a ghostly smile that sent a shiver racing down Sarah's spine. "You're too late, Sarah." Heart racing, Sarah gasped. "What do you mean?" Just then, a sudden cold swept through, momentarily freezing her in place. The cries crescendoed, enveloping her like a tightening vice, with echoes of the past swarming closer. Then silence. The shadows fell still, but the weight in the air grew thicker. The only sound was the distant murmuring of the house, like a lullaby laced with malice. The stillness felt like a trap, a sinister calm before the storm. Fear gripped her as the door began to creak shut, eerily slow. "Help us," the voice whispered again, laced with desperation. This time, it was not a plea, but a command. Could she turn away and leave them behind? Could she save her children without unraveling the mystery of the attic? The air shimmered with tension, waiting for her decision, holding its breath like the house itself. As the door clicked shut, sealing her fate, Sarah heard a soft laughter behind her, an echo of broken innocence, inviting her deeper into the shadows. What awaited her in the silence? Would she become a part of the attic's sordid tale? Or could she unearth its sorrowful secrets in time? The moment the door clicked shut, panic clawed at Sarah's insides. Shadows shifted closer, swirling around her like a storm of darkness. She turned, desperate for an escape, but Anna stood there, her ghostly form unwavering. The little girl's smile twisted into something darker, her eyes glimmering with predatory intent. "Why don't you come play with us?" Anna's voice echoed, sing-song yet laced with a malevolence that made Sarah's skin crawl. "We've been waiting forever." "Let me go," Sarah yelled, scrambling back, her heart racing. But the weight of the attic pressed against her, heavy and suffocating. More whispers rose from the corners, growing louder, pooling together like sinister spirits, chanting their sorrowful plea. "Help us, help us." Suddenly, the journal snapped shut, as if it held secrets too dangerous to reveal. Sarah's eyes turned to the door, her only hope. She bolted toward it, but the moment she reached for the handle, a gust of cold air slammed against her, knocking her backward. She stumbled, disoriented, gasping as icy fingers coiled around her wrists. "No, not yet," Anna cooed, her voice filled with cruel joy. "You haven't learned the story. You must listen." The walls vibrated with the chorus of the trapped children, shifting and stretching as if the house itself was alive, suffusing the air with despair. "Let us out. Set us free." The cacophony dulled Sarah's senses, drowning her in their cries. "Rescue." The word echoed in her mind, mingling with the shouts of the children. She clutched the journal, forced her trembling fingers to find Anna's name again. The scribbled pages blurred as tears filled her eyes. "How?" she gasped. "What do I need to do?" Anna's figure flickered, her smile now somber, almost sad. "You must decide." The chilling command hung in the air, thick with desperation. What choice? For a fleeting moment, the chaos slowed, the suffocating whispers fading into tense anticipation. Shadows retracted slightly, allowing a glimpse of light to break through. "Why are you here, Anna?" Sarah breathed, her voice barely a whisper. "To save us," Anna murmured, her silhouette wavering. "We're all trapped here, like moths to a flame. But the flame needs to be fed." The shadows pulsed with a life of their own, swirling violently as if resonating with each word. A beast awakened. They cast haunting images of children's faces, twisted in anguish, forever lost inside Callahan's walls. Sarah's heart sank. The attic had become a purgatory, a cycle of terror feeding on the next victim, the next story. "Set them free," she repeated, but uncertainty pooled in her stomach. What would be the price? The laughter of the lost children sounded again, but it was different now. It rang sharp and filled with madness. Sarah looked at Anna. "What do I have to do?" Silence dripped from the walls. Then a cacophony erupted. "Surrender! Surrender!" The shadows howled, a daunting echo enveloping her senses. This time the laughter shifted to sobs, riddled with fear and betrayal. "Join us, Sarah," they cried, voices merging into a singular wail. The door remained closed, its presence oppressive. The shadows tightened around her once more, the cold creeping into her bones, whispering her own fears. She only had one chance to escape the darkness. But to do so would mean embracing the very evil they feared. "Will you be our savior?" Anna asked, her voice sweet and hollow. Sarah's heart thudded with dread as she stared into the dark abyss before her. If she made the wrong choice, the air crackled with electricity, heightening every fear, every doubt. Then the world seemed to tilt, shifting her perspective. And beneath the weight of their desperate cries, one horrifying thought gripped Sarah with icy claws. What if fulfilling their wishes meant becoming part of the attic's tragic history? The shadows surged like a tide, pulling her towards the depths where the truth awaited. The storm inside her raged. Would she heed their call or resist the fate laid out before her? And then, a low rumble echoed through the attic, as if the house itself was impatient, demanding to reveal its darkest secrets. Sarah's breath hitched as the rumble deepened, each sound wave slapping against her chest like a hand pushing her back toward the shadows. The children's voices melded, rising as if the house itself were alive, hungry for relief only it could sate. Panic bubbled in her throat. What choice could possibly be right? "Feed the flame," Anna echoed, the words slithering into Sarah's mind, tightening like a noose. The shadows swirled and danced, sharp edges glowing with a sickly luminescence, drawing vivid images from the attic's hidden memories. Desirable or dreadful? The children's faces morphed, twisting into pleas and grins that froze her in place. "Join us," they wailed again, the chilling refrain wrapping itself around her, cold and suffocating. She squeezed her eyes shut, desperate to block it all out, but the sounds seeped in. The attic filled with the scent of dust and decay, as if the very walls had absorbed decades of sorrow. What had happened here? What unspeakable acts had been carried out in this room that looked so innocent from below? "Sarah." Anna's voice broke through, more insistent now. "Listen. You must. I need to get out of here," she gasped, fighting against the icy grip around her wrists. She pulled herself back, every muscle screaming at the strain, but the shadows twisted, tightening, laughing with cruel delight. Saving us comes at a price, they murmured. Despair swirled in her gut. What sacrifice could they possibly demand? The journal. It felt heavy in her hands, a weight holding her back yet attractively potent. She opened it, pages fluttering as if alive. Become the savior, or succumb to darkness. Tell me what to do, she cried, a raw edge creeping into her voice. I can't just let you. But before she could finish, an anguished scream sliced through the air. It echoed, reverberating against the wooden beams, and tore at her heart. She spun to Anna, whose spectral form flickered, her face a canvas of agony. We want to be free, Anna shouted, her expression shifting from joy to horror in an instant. We need you. The noise crescendoed, children's cries blending with Anna's voice, creating an unbearable symphony of anguish. Sarah's mind raced. What could she offer? What did they want from her? Your heart. Your memories. The shadows roared, closing in tighter, suffocating her with their dread. No. Sarah's voice rose in defiance. You can't have that. Their laughter changed, becoming dark and mocking. Your heart is the key. Only with your pain can we find peace. A cold surge flooded through her, stealing her strength. She was terrified of what lay ahead, but she could not let Anna and the others remain trapped. There had to be a way to help them that didn't mean losing herself forever. Fine. I'll do it. Show me. The declaration escaped her lips, raw and trembling. Instantly, the shadows recoiled as if backtracking from the heat of her resolve. The room dimmed further, and the journal glowed bright, pages flipping open to reveal hastily drawn symbols and a story of tragedy. Read it, Anna urged, her voice barely a whisper over the howls. Save us. But before Sarah could comprehend the beginning lines, the attic shook around her. The vibrations fractured the world, and she stumbled, barely regaining balance. What is happening? She wanted to scream, but no sound came. All she could feel was the weight of countless eyes upon her, judging, pleading. As the cacophony reached a deafening height, the shadows shifted violently. They merged into a singular shape, massive and omnipotent, towering over Sarah with an insatiable hunger. Make your choice. The shape bellowed, and the house rejoiced, groaning beneath the burden of its legacy. Sarah's heart thundered, fear paralyzing her thoughts. What if she couldn't control the outcome? But then her gaze landed on Anna, whose eyes shimmered with a familiar sparkle of hope through despair. Please, we're counting on you. The last words echoed in her mind as a terrifying revelation burst forth. How far was she willing to venture into the darkness to save them? The shadows surged, threatening to swallow her whole as the room began to warp. Shapes and voices swirled in invasive chaos. Sarah felt a jolt of terror grip her soul. What awaited her beyond the threshold of decision? The door creaked worse than before, a terrifying chasm inviting her to plunge into uncertainty. The shadows pulsed like a living beast, looming larger, stretching toward Sarah with tendrils of darkness that coiled around her heart. The air was thick with terror, suffocating her thoughts. She could almost hear the house itself whispering, the walls trembling with anticipation. Do it now, the words echoed, slithering through her mind like venom. Sarah shook her head violently, desperate to break free from the suffocating grip of dread. Read. Anna's plea broke through the oppressive noise, stepping through the chaos like a beacon of light. Taking a breath, Sarah steeled herself. She flipped the journal open, squinting against the dim light that flickered in the room. The symbols were jagged, scrawled in a chaotic rush. Words leapt from the pages, each heavy with sorrow and desperation. Spirits trapped in the dark, bound by the sins of the living. Find the sacrifice. Feed the hunger. The inscribed text seemed to pulse in time with the shadows. A chill crept deeper into her bones. The children's faces echoed in her mind. Sarah, you can save us, Anna urged again. But as the name echoing from her lips grew louder, it twisted into something sinister, something more. Who are you? Sarah gasped, feeling the room shift beneath her feet. The massive shape looming over her felt alive, breathing greedily as it awaited her next move. "Do you want them to be free?" It thundered, crushing the very air from her lungs. "You hold the power, sweet Sarah. The heart's blood is the key." Her mind spun. The price of freedom was her very essence, her memories, her pain, her life. Wasn't there another way? Something silent gnawed at her stomach. "Trust us," the whispers chimed, a harmony of seductive temptation. "Don't you want to feel again? To know what it is to care freely?" She squeezed her eyes shut, blood pounding in her ears. Each heartbeat was a terrifying reminder of her humanity slipping away. Just read the line. But it was too late. The swirling shadows began to hum, a deep resonance vibrating through her bones, a music of agony and despair. As the journal glowed more intensely, Sarah couldn't argue with the relentless pull of fate. There was no escaping the lure of the shadows. "I will not lose myself," she screamed, words breaking free like a wounded animal, raw and desperate. Slowly, she began to read, her voice trembling. To release the lost, the children's cries crescendoed, relentless as the weight of their pain pressed down on her like a heavy shroud. She could feel the shadows pulling back, surging closer, as if feeding on her words, desperate for the release of despair. To free the innocent in that moment, pain lanced through her chest. Memories, fleeting glimpses of her life flashed before her, laughter shared. Hope ignited, tormenting her with memories that felt like they were slipping through a sieve. "Sacrifice, feed us." The shadows shrieked, merging and twisting into a cyclopean form that recoiled from her pulsing heart, now glowing brighter against the darkness. Moving forward felt impossible, yet retreat was not an option. The howls mixed with her mom's voice, her sister's laughter. The shadows were alive with her memories, and she started to feel their full weight. Would it be worth the price? But then another thought crept in, clinging to the edges of her mind. Could she even survive if they reached deeper within her? "Please, I have to know." The plea tore from her throat, desperate and choking. The shadows surged again, fierce and unrelenting. "Find the heart that can take it all." Sarah's pulse quickened, heart racing as if the room were narrowing in on her. She felt as if she were standing at the edge of a cliff, and below lay an abyss filled with hopelessness and despair. "Do it," the monstrous voice echoed. "Decide quickly, sweet child, before the door closes forever." In that moment of dreadful clarity, Sarah realized she was lost in a labyrinth of choices, each with its own price. The darkness promised liberation, but at what cost? Could she give up the very essence of who she was? The answer hovered somewhere in the swirling shadows just out of reach. Would she dare to step forward into oblivion? And then, the journal's pages flipped ominously, revealing a new eerie symbol that glowed with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. What secrets would it unlock? The symbol pulsated, drawing Sarah in like a moth to a flame. Irrational curiosity wrestled with fear as she studied the ancient glyph swirling in emerald light. The moment she focused on it, shadows hissed and swirled, biting at her heels and beckoning her deeper into their sinister embrace. "Sarah, look!" Anna's voice broke through the chaos, a desperate shout that echoed in the cavernous space. "We need to act." But what action could she take? The journal shifted in her grip, warm with the promise of secrets that could draw her closer to salvation or plunge her further into darkness. Each tremor of her hand threatened to let it slip from her grasp. "Find the heart," the shadows pulsed like a living thing, urging her to choose. "You must dare to look beyond the veil, sweet child." The voice shifted, slithering and smooth, promising more than just memories. They offered liberation from the relentless guilt that chained her heart. The air grew heavy, sucked out by an unseen force. The journal glimmered with all the weight of the past. Tears spilled, laughter smothered, and nightmares etched beneath the surface. It was a relic of grief, a vessel of trapped souls, and she was its chosen keeper. "Don't listen." Anna's voice cracked, shadowed by the darkness that loomed. "You can't trust them." But the spectral whispers grew more enticing, wrapping around Sarah's mind like vines, weaving promises of freedom and power. She was standing at the threshold of a choice too grave to bear. Should she surrender herself to the darkness for those children, lost in time, bound to this cursed place? Open it, now, Anna insisted, a fevered urgency hanging in her tone. With a shaky breath, Sarah tore her gaze from the glyph to scan the pages of the journal. The lines seemed to writhe before her eyes, revealing a name she'd never seen before. Eliza Callahan. Who is she? The last of the Callahans, the shadows crooned. Her secret is here, etched in blood and despair. Your connection is stronger than you know. What do you mean? Sarah asked, her voice a whisper, heavy with unease. She sacrificed for them. The shadows hissed, tugging at her thoughts, spinning a nightmare woven with the threads of truth. She understood what it meant to lose everything. Her heart thundered in her chest. Anna moved closer, her figure flickering against the backdrop of shadows like a candle threatened by the wind. Don't do it, please. But Sarah's hand moved of its own volition, parting the pages like a curtain drawn on a dawning revelation. In 1853, she read aloud, 39 souls were bound to this home, caged in the attic stripped of hope, fed on fear. Cold ripples of dread cascaded down her spine, and she felt the weight of the children's lives pressing down harder than ever. Suddenly, the shadows screamed, their collective fury erupting like a raging storm, clawing at her, distorting the air around her. The darkness wanted her voice to continue, to bear witness to their pain. Eliza, you should have freed us, they howled. You ripped our hearts and trapped our souls. Panic surged through her. She was teetering on an edge. Any step could seal their fate, and her own. What if I don't? It escaped her lips, more an utterance of defiance than conviction. Then you will suffer the binding, they hissed, their twisted forms coiling tighter around her, threatening to drag her into their abyss. With every ounce of strength, she clung to the journal, to her memories of love that were dancing on the edge of oblivion. But Eliza's name pulsed steadily under her fingers, insistent and charged. Sarah, please, we have to get out, Anna begged, her eyes wide with fear as she stepped back from the encroaching shadows. Frantic and disoriented, Sarah's resolve wavered, but that name resonated with a depth she couldn't ignore. What if unearthing Eliza's secret was her only chance to save them all? Find the heart. The words became an echo, a mantra fighting against the darkness. But then, in a flash, Sarah felt a grip on her arm. Cold, unyielding. She turned to Anna, but her friend's face shifted behind a veil of darkness, melding into a horrific visage. No longer Anna, but a reflection of pain, a child's haunted scream. Release us, the shadows roared around her. In a heartbeat, she understood. This was only the beginning. And just as the horrifying chorus reached its climax, the floorboards creaked beneath them, a hidden door shifting in the dark, an invitation to descend into deeper terror, revealing another layer of the curse that had haunted Callahan House for centuries. Should she follow? The answer lingered in the air, heavy, suffocating as the shadows loomed ever closer. The darkness swirled tighter, pulsing with a hungry energy that pulled at Sarah like roots reaching for water. She breathed in the musty air, acrid with decay, and felt the old house lean closer, an unseen weight pressing against her chest. Sarah, come on. Anna's voice, desperate and tinged with fear, fought through the thickening gloom. We can't stay here. But where was the way out? The cacophony of spectral cries filled her ears, drowning Anna's pleas. We need to find the heart. The grip on her arm tightened painfully, dragging her thoughts deeper into an abyss of dread. The hidden door loomed before her, a dark maw waiting to devour. Sarah hesitated, the journal clutched to her chest like a life preserver while shadows writhed at her feet. She could feel them whispering secrets, dark promises of understanding, power, salvation. Without fully meaning to, she stumbled forward, drawn by some primal instinct. The floor creaked as she took the first step through the threshold, the hidden door swinging open. A chill washed over her, sharp and biting, like the breath of the grave. Inside, it was worse than the shadows that surrounded her. The attic yawned open, vast and dim, filled with the echoes of laughter long ago silenced. Dust motes floated like lost spirits in the weak light filtering through cracked windows. Sarah. Anna's voice broke through the haze, sharp and panicked. You can't go in there. It's too dangerous. But the whispers in Sarah's mind transformed into a haunting melody, a child's lullaby that beckoned her deeper. Stay with us, they sang. We've been waiting. The floorboard creaked underfoot, an ominous warning that merged with the whispers, a blend of temptation and terror. Sarah. Anna's voice quivered. I can't let you go alone. But Sarah was already past the threshold, stepping into a world that felt both familiar and utterly foreign. Every glance in the shadows revealed remnants, broken toys, torn clothes, traces of laughter that had echoed through these walls before being swallowed by despair. Then she saw it. A small chest partially hidden beneath a rickety table, its lock rusted but intact, inviting curiosity. This was it, the heart the shadows spoke of. Inside lay the answers. Don't touch it, Anna shrieked, tears shining on her cheeks. But it was too late. Sarah knelt before the chest, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the cool wood. It felt alive, thumping gently under her touch, as though it carried the heartbeat of the souls tortured within these walls. Unconsciously, she whispered the name she'd read, Eliza Callahan, and instantly, a wave of energy surged from the chest, knocking her back. She gasped, pain radiating up her arms as a blinding light erupted from the chest. Shadows flinched, retreating in horror, revealing the full terror of the room, a makeshift prison. Dozens of pairs of eyes staring out from deep, dark corners. Lost children, hollow and waiting. Release us, they chanted in unison, their voices rising like a crescendo, enveloping her in a web of sorrow. Sarah stumbled back, her heart racing, the realization crashing into her like a wave. These were the children trapped since 1853, 39 souls who had suffered unimaginable fates. But the words of the journal echoed in her mind. They had been bound by something deeper, and she held the key. Sarah, please. Anna's voice trembled, pulling her back from the brink. But the urge to open the chest was overwhelming, a visceral need to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Just as she reached for the lock, the air turned icy, and the shadows lunged forward, their howls of rage surrounding her, threatening to consume her whole. The journal slipped from her grip, pages fluttering open to the passage that spoke of the curse, revealing more than she had ever anticipated. No, she yelled, fighting against the pull of the darkness. In that moment, she faced the choice laid out before her. Unlock the secrets of the past, or let Anna and herself be swallowed whole by the torment that had lingered for far too long. And the shadows howled in fury, reaching for her as she felt the grip of the cursed history tightening around her. Sarah, think, Anna screamed, fear cracking her voice. You might not survive this. Would uncovering the truth mean succumbing to the horrors of Eliza's past? The next moment held the key to everything, a choice that might either break the curse or bind them forever. As the air thickened, she felt the weight of the journal return opening before her, revealing secrets not meant for her eyes. Would she dare? And suddenly, the light flickered violently, and the ground beneath them trembled. Sarah had to choose, before the shadows claimed them both. What awaited her in Eliza's chest could either end everything or plunge them both into eternal despair. Would she have the courage to find out? The moment Sarah's fingers brushed the lock, the room erupted into chaos. A violent wind howled through the attic, shoving Sarah and Anna towards the wall like a heavy weight. Anna screamed, her voice lost in the whirlwind of despair and rage. The shadows writhed, stretching into grotesque shapes, arms reaching for Sarah as if trying to pull her into their depth. No, she gasped, pulling back, the breath torn from her lungs. The journal lay open at her feet, illuminating passages she tried not to see. Reveal only darkness, it warned. But the darkness was already spilling over, suffocating her. Sarah, don't. Anna's voice cut through the agony. She was scrambling, searching for something, anything to pull Sarah back from the brink. Please listen to me. What if opening that chest unleashed horror beyond imagination? What if it dragged them both into the abyss? Yet, the whispers echoed with urgency, begging to be released. The phrase "stay with us" woven into the fabric of the oppressive gloom, with horrid clarity. The children's eyes blinked back at her, their hollow gazes filled with something akin to hope, or perhaps it was madness. "Help us," they cried again, their sing-song voices harmonizing into a chilling chant that gnawed at her mind. With each pulse of energy from the chest, her resolve wavered. She felt the cool metal of the lock thrum beneath her fingertips, a heart of its own thrumming along with the desperation in the room. She half saw shadows dart among the memories, hopes and dreams drowned beneath layers of dust. She had to know. They needed her to know. "Sarah." Anna's voice was strained, teetering on the edge of a breakdown. "Don't let them get to you. We can find another way." But what way could survive this desperate grip of fate? Time slipped away, the world outside forgotten as the attic closed in. She felt as if she could search the depths of her own soul and still find no escape. The journal showed her the truth, and yet, it terrified her more than anything. "Release us," the children wailed as one, their anguished cries peeling back layers of her sanity. With a surge of adrenaline, Sarah twisted the lock. Clicked open. The light that erupted from the chest was fierce, bathing the attic in a blinding glow that momentarily pushed the shadows back. She blinked against the brightness, and her heart raced as the sounds transformed, the cries of pain bleeding into anguished laughter echoing from inside. "Don't do it," Anna screamed, eyes wide with fear. But it was already too late. The lid of the chest flew open violently, sending a shockwave through the room. The power surged forth like a tsunami, crashing into Sarah with a force that made her scream. It was then she saw them. They weren't just eyes. They were mouths. The trapped souls were forming a vortex of faces, their features twisting in anguish and desperation as they screamed, "Free us!" Terror clawed at Sarah's chest. A whirlwind of memories swept around her, cries of laughter replaced by the cries of fear. She felt herself being pulled toward the chest, as if the very air had thickened into a treacherous tide, dragging her closer to the raging storm of souls. "Sarah!" Anna shouted, breaking through the chaos as she lunged forward to grab her arm. The shadows pulled Anna back, twisting and mocking her screams. The air thickened with a suffocating chill. All at once, Sarah faced the truth. Was opening that chest a mistake, or would it give them the chance at salvation? She was the one holding the key, and the truth was about to be unleashed, but at what cost? Her heart hammered wildly as a chilling thought struck her. The curse could also bind her and Anna forever. Would their names one day join the chorus of tortured cries? "Sarah, do you want to be one of them?" Anna screamed, her eyes pleading. In the maelstrom of shadows and swirling light, Sarah fought against the pull. Time was running out. The veil between redemption and damnation was too thin. As she struggled against the tidal wave of spirits, she could feel the darkness inching closer, almost tasting her dread. She had one last choice to make. At that moment, another voice broke through the screams. It was familiar, dripping with sadness and longing. "Help me!" It was a whisper from the depths of the shadows. Another lost soul reaching out. But which one? The chest throbbed, alive with malevolence. Sarah knew she had to act. She had to make a decision to dive into the abyss or fight her way back to the light. And as the shadows clawed at her, she grasped the edge of the chest, trembling from the weight of the past and uncertain of the future. Would she risk everything to confront the darkest secrets or let them swallow her whole? With an icy hand on her soul, Sarah took a long breath, her heart pounding, every instinct screaming to run. Next chapter loomed before her, brimming with uncertainty and dread. What truths would they unveil? The blinding light from the chest shattered the dark, a wild illumination that clawed at the corners of the basement. Sarah could feel the weight of it pressing upon her, a tangible force as she fought against the onslaught of voices. Anna's desperate grip on her arm anchored her, but the shadows were stronger. They roared, twisting around Anna, coaxing her with promises of release, promises of something Sarah feared to comprehend. "Sarah," Anna cried, her voice breaking, "we have to get out." But where could they go? The attic had become a prison, and Sarah was standing at the very edge of a nightmare. She felt the whispers wrap around her legs, icy tendrils that sought to drag her down. The faces in the light distorted into grotesque parodies of innocence, their mouths twisted into haunting pleas. It was a choir of agony that filled her ears, their cries resulting in a cacophony that rippled through her mind, threatening to drown her sanity. "Help us," the children wailed. "Help us." She felt the chill touch her heart and squeeze. Those eyes, those lost souls, they were reaching for her. If she turned away now, would she betray them? Would she turn her back on spirits no different than her own? An ache swelled inside her, primal and fierce. "Do it," the voices urged. "We won't hurt you. We're just like you." Fear gripped Sarah tight. She couldn't tell which was the lie, the darkness or the light. "Don't listen to them," Anna shouted, fighting back the shadows that lashed at her. "They're lying. They want to drag you into hell." The shadows roared in defiance, spiraling closer, dark clouds heavy with dread. With one motion, a cold hand shot out from the darkness, fingertips grazing Sarah's cheek, sending ripples of freezing terror down her spine. "Do you remember?" It was the echo of a childish voice, sweet and terrifying. You promised to help us." The dawning realization hit her like a stone. In her dreams, those sleepless nights filled with visions of children at play, she had made a promise. A vow born from the innocence of youth and desperation from years of torment. "I'll help you," she whispered to a memory that felt like part of the very air she inhaled. "Do it. Free us." A strange compulsion surged through her body. The shadows seemed to pulse with life, vibrating with her heartbeat. Sarah's vision blurred as she looked from the shimmering light of the chest back to Anna. Desperation etched upon her friend's face. She couldn't let the darkness claim her, just as surely as Anna wouldn't let the shadows claim her either. "Bind us or free us," the voices whispered in unison, sending shivers down her spine. Every instinct screamed at her to shut the lid, to turn and run, but could she ignore the cries of those lost? Could she leave them in this dark eternity? The air hummed with tension, her breath quickening. Anna's expression hardened, resolve fighting back against the fear. "We need to go. Now, before it's too late." The energy in the attic shifted, swirling violently, and somehow, in that dark maelstrom, Sarah's fear transformed into determination. With a surge of courage, she reached for the chest. And as her fingers hovered above its threshold, an unexpected shift occurred. The lid creaked open wider, bathing her in an icy glow, and the grotesque faces looked deep into her, time distorted. Seconds felt like hours. "Can I change my fate? Can I save them?" She thought with a heart that raced. With a sudden clarity, she understood. The decision was no longer about her. It was about them, the cursed, the damned. But in the depths of that cold revelation came another chilling thought. If she chose to act now, what would it awaken? What would she unleash that even the darkness feared? Gathering every ounce of bravery, she shouted into the howling chaos, "I can't." But the shadows thickened, their coal-black fingers wrapping around her, squeezing tighter. Anna began to scream as the spectral forms lunged. Just then, a sinister silence fell, the shadows retreating, as though caught off guard. The moment hung, suspended in a pregnant pause. And then, a deep, rumbling voice resonated from the chest. "You dare to defy the past?" The weight of the question loomed like an impending storm, thrusting Sarah and Anna into the heart of their greatest nightmare yet. The shadows shifted once again, and for the first time, she could see a figure forming in the light, someone she thought she would never encounter again. Who was it? Her mind raced as the face came into view, and recognition sank in like a dagger. Could the truth she faced reveal her own hidden terror? Or was this ghost of the past merely a mirage of her greatest fears? As shadows began to swirl around the figure, obscuring its form, Sarah braced for the connection, the one that might bind her to the very heart of darkness. Would she grasp the truth or let it consume her? The choice loomed like the chest itself, heavy and irrevocable, and terror surged forth anew, testing her resolve. What awaited her now in the chilling darkness? Time was fleeting, and a revelation was on the brink. She had to act. Would she be strong enough to fight the past, or would it engulf her whole? The atmosphere crackled as Sarah faced the figure forming out of the blinding light, an apparition torn from the threads of agony and hope. The air around her thickened with uncertainty, and her heart pounded like a warning drum. Sarah, the voice was eerily familiar, laced with warmth that cracked like ice. You remember me, don't you? Terror seized her as recognition washed over her. Eliza Callahan, the girl whose fate was woven into the very fabric of this haunted house. You were one of them, one of the children, Sarah stammered, stepping back, but the shadows pressed closer, dark and clinging. Yes, Eliza whispered, her eyes shimmering with sorrow. I was lost, and now I live in the echoes of the decisions made here. You hold the key, Sarah. Only through you can we find release. The shadows rippled around her, shifting with restless energy, their whispers intensifying. Feed us, free us. But beware, their sinister tones wrapped around her, tightening like a vice. Eliza's expression darkened. Every choice has consequences. Choose to bind us to you, or sever the strings of our anguish. Anna grasped Sarah's arm, pulling her back from the swirling tempest of shadows. We need to leave, Sarah. They're trying to trick you. No, Sarah hissed, feeling drawn to Eliza, the history that swirled between them sharper than the cries around her. She searched Eliza's gaze, seeking the truth buried beneath centuries of despair. What do I need to do? You must choose. Eliza's voice trembled slightly, a reflection of both fear and resolve. To set us free, you must embrace the pain that binds us here. Only then can redemption emerge from the ashes of sorrow. But be warned, the darkness will seek to claim you too. The shadows writhed as if they understood, slithering tighter around Sarah, wrapping her in their chill. Join us and let the past be part of you. Or reject it and risk losing everything. Sarah's grip on the journal tightened. Each page pulsed with an energy both inviting and threatening. Memories, her daughter's laughter, the joy of rediscovery, and the guilt that lingered from her divorce all surged forward. Could she sacrifice those memories to free these lost souls? To break the curse haunting the Callahan home? What if I choose wrong? She asked, her voice quaking. What if I become part of your story? Then we will be trapped together forever, Eliza whispered, anguish feeding into her words. But with the heart's blood, we could free not just us, but you too. Let go of the past. Heal what was lost. The weight of Eliza's invitation trembled in the ether, the weight of the honest pain clawing at Sarah's resolve. I don't know if I can silence his consent, the shadows hissed. Your doubt, your fear is an opportunity. The stories echo within you. The lid of the chest thumped again. The blinding light fizzled, and Sarah was left standing on the precipice of her own fears. She could forgo light, forget love, and abandon hope, all to quench their need. No, she cried, anguish breaking through her resolve. I won't lose myself. Eliza's form flickered, fear and understanding flickering in her gaze. Sarah, choose wisely. The only way is through acceptance. Only then can love bask in the light. Every child's voice crescendoed to an unbearable symphony of dread and desperation, beckoning her forward. The specter of hope mixed with despair wrapped around her heart, urging her to take a leap of faith. Memories crumbled in her hands, and before she realized it, the decision had taken root. Then I will try to help you, she shouted, each word robust as the shadows howled in rage. With resolve flaring like a wildfire, she raised the journal, flipping through its pages with newfound determination. The glow illuminated the symbols, the words flowing seamlessly, a binding spell interwoven with the history of the children lost. And within that moment of connection, Sarah felt the warmth of the sunlight breaking through the darkness. Set us free, set us free. The voices screamed, the shadows recoiled, their grip loosening, leaving a trail of eerie silence in their wake. Accept my pain, Sarah cried to the air, feeling her heart thrum faster, fiercer than ever. I won't abandon you. A blinding light erupted from the pages, a warm glow that enveloped her and Eliza, melding their energies like a sacred embrace. With outstretched hands, the room ignited, the darkness screaming as it was flung back, unraveling like a tightly wound coil. The chest opened wide, revealing not just the children trapped within but a kaleidoscope of memories, joy, laughter, freedom buried deep. Sarah felt herself entwined in their warmth as light erupted from the attic, filling the entire house, breaking the chains binding them to the nightmarish past. As the glow subsided and the haunting cries faded, the attic became a sanctuary, no longer a prison. She gasped, breathless, anticipating the weight of loss yet embracing the echoes of hope. Eliza's figure shimmered, fading slowly but radiating gratitude and light. "Thank you, Sarah," she whispered, her voice a melody of peace. "You've broken the curse." The shadows twisted one last time, releasing the last of their hold, trapped children appearing as figures of light, their laughter resonating through the space as they merged into the surrounding warmth. Sarah stumbled back, her heart racing as she turned toward Anna, whose eyes glistened with tears, a mixture of relief and joy. "We did it," Anna exclaimed, breathless with disbelief, stepping into the emerging light. "Yes," Sarah choked, feeling something lift within her, the weight of the past shedding like a second skin. They were free. Together they descended the attic stairs. The sun broke through the darkness, spilling over the Callahan house, illuminating the cherry blossoms outside, vibrant and alive. Sarah smiled softly, her heart lighter than it had ever been. "Let us go home." As they walked, the laughter of children faded into the gentle rustle of the trees, a promise lingering on the breeze. And as they passed through the front door, the home felt different. A sanctuary where lives could grow, free from shadows and echoes, ushering in a new beginning. This was their moment, the dawn of hope breaking over the horizon. But before you go, there is something critical. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and support the journey. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending, because only true fans understand the importance of these moments. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. Your support matters.